Deion Sanders is a name that is going to get thrown around a lot in these head coaching jobs that are open already or that are, maybe going to be open in the future. Like Texas A&M has already been a storyline that's floated around with Deion Sanders. He put out a graphic that basically said, like, hey, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere, is the way that I interpreted that graphic. But it's not going to stop. Like, Deion Sanders will continue to be a name in every single conversation, more or less, for high-profile jobs for, I wonder if they would take a chance on Deion. Or I wonder if Deion would take a chance on them. And to be real, this makes a ton of sense. We'll talk about it right now. Make sure you're subscribed to the On3 YouTube channel, talking college football, only college football, every single day. This is a place where we celebrate the sport. We don't do the hot takes, the agendas, the negative stuff. Like, we talk about ball and only ball here. We love college football. You love college football, and we appreciate y'all being dialed in accordingly. Like I was saying, makes a ton of sense. Makes a ton of sense why Deion Sanders would be on the wish list for a lot of these schools that are looking for head coaches. Like, he flipped an entire roster at Colorado and made them relevant, made them competitive. Outside of the Oregon game, they've been in every single game they've played in. And so that the thing with what he's done so far at Colorado is a testament to why you would want him at your spot. Because you see the trajectory of Colorado in the long run if they keep acquiring talent. Like, Deion Sanders is built for modern college football. He's cool. He crushes it on social media. The entire coverage of Colorado as a whole has just bolstered so much because of him. Electric personality. He acquires talent. That's the key thing here. He acquires talent. And in the day and age of where we are right now in college football, that is like a non-negotiable. You can have as good a culture as you want, but there is a ceiling to culture. Talent is what gets you in the building when you talk about college football playoff, berths and national title conversations. So that's why you would want a guy like Deion Sanders. You take him to College Station, he would acquire great talent. You take him to Fargo, North Dakota, he would acquire great talent. He's doing it right now. I don't think North Dakota State's probably taking a chance on Deion Sanders. I don't think that's probably a match we'll see anytime soon, but the sentiment remains the same. When it comes to acquiring talent, Deion Sanders will do that, and he will knock it out of the park. But I think we need to use a different lens when we assess what Deion Sanders' next move could be. Because everyone wants to guess that he's going to just jump at the next big job that becomes available. Hey, he's got some juice right now on the, coaching market. A lot of people think he could be a guy that could fit somewhere else. Like, I don't think this is a situation where Deion Sanders is just looking for the next big logo. Like, Deion Sanders, I think, has just different priorities than the majority of other head coaches. Kind of like Dan Lanning said, you can't assess Deion Sanders like you assess other head coaches. Because I think for Deion Sanders, there's a different level of investment for him with the jobs that he takes. Like Jackson State, there was a specific reason why he took that job. Yes, he wanted to be a head coach in college, but he wanted to invest in what HBCUs were. He wanted to invest in what Jackson State was. He wanted to make an impact. And I think it's the same thing at Colorado. He wants to flip that whole operation and build it into something. Like, he's a part of the build. He's invested. And to be real now, we kind of forget this with Deion Sanders because, again, we assess him like a normal head coach. Deion Sanders has nothing to prove when it comes to the football world. Like, Deion Sanders, I promise you, he's good. He's got a gold jacket. He's not worried about what you think about him when it comes to being a college football head coach or the college football world in general or the football world in general. Deion Sanders, his name, it carries weight. So what does that tell us? It means he genuinely does this because he wants to. And when you genuinely want to do something, by nature of the job that he's in and by the way that he's done this job, it feels like there's a genuine investment in the roster for Deion Sanders in terms of the guys that he has in-house right now. Now, make no mistake, there was a fair amount of portal activity going out of Colorado for a reason as well. But, I mean, with the guys that are in this room now, I think if you are bought into Deion, he'll buy into you. And so what that means is when you have greater investment in some place, it's harder to leave. Right? It's easier to move away from somewhere after 6 months because you're not very invested than it would be after 4 years. Same thing with Deion Sanders. I'm not talking about the time. I'm talking about with what he's put into Colorado and what his vision is for Colorado and the guys that he's brought to Colorado. I'll say this too. Deion Sanders will not leave Colorado until Travis Hunter is gone to the NFL. So what, 1 to 2 years. Shedeur Sanders, same thing. He's not leaving before his son's done playing college football. And a big part of that, Travis Hunter, if Deion Sanders were to take a job this coaching cycle and be somewhere else, he wouldn't be able to go with him with tremendous certainty. Like, you could transfer, but his eligibility would be a question. And, I mean, the whole Tez Walker situation should serve as a pretty good warning for why you would not want to make that kind of pivot if you're Travis Hunter. Like, Deion Sanders cares about his guys. Obviously cares about his sons, clearly cares about Travis Hunter, and I think he cares about a lot of these guys on his football team for the most part. So, like I said, he's not leaving Colorado until the job is finished, quote unquote. Now, what does finished mean? Is that a bowl game? Is that a conference title? I don't know. But I do think that the feeling is there's still something to be done at Colorado. Again, I'll say this again. He will not leave for a quote unquote better job. What looks like a better job to us may not look like a better job to Deion Sanders. Because Deion Sanders, he's wired for greatness. And that sounds kind of funny to say out loud, but like, you look at the track record of what he's done. Dude played Major League Baseball. Guy was NFL Hall of Famer. The best at his craft. And he said this, out loud. He does not settle for mediocrity. It's not how he was, created, was Deion Sanders. And so the reason why that's important is anyone who's wired for greatness, they have high standards. And what is high standards also known as? Being high maintenance. In the most positive way possible, Deion Sanders is high maintenance. And what I mean for that when it comes to the job, it would take the right job. It would take the right location. It would take the right timing in terms of what he did at Colorado already. I think it would take the right situation for what's around that job. Like Texas A&M, in my mind, didn't make sense from the jump, not just because of what he's done at Colorado to this point, but because at Texas A&M, there's a few more hands in the kitchen there than you probably would like if you're Deion Sanders. Just full transparency, Deion Sanders, we've seen he wants to do things his way. And so far to this point at Colorado, we've seen some results from his way of doing things. Who can fault Deion Sanders for that? He doesn't just want to take a job that puts him in a better spot. I think for him, he wants to take a job that's actually going to be better for him as a whole and for his family and for his situation. Like, sometimes you see coaches take jobs and you'll hear crazy things about, well, yeah, they went to that job, they being the staff and that head coach, but head coach's family was still where he was previously because the kids had to finish school and the kids were finishing up, their senior year of high school, whatever. That's not how Deion Sanders operates, to my understanding. Like, when Deion Sanders takes a job, he embeds himself into that community, into that school, into that culture. Like, he's all the way in. And so what I'm trying to say is he won't make a pivot because of what's happened already at Colorado. He's got a little bit of momentum on the coaching carousel circle. I think it would take, like I said, right situation, right timing, after the right season for Colorado. And just by nature of how I feel about this, I think it would take the right location. Like, I think it would take somewhere in the state of Texas. That's funny because we just talked about A&M, but I think it would take somewhere in the state of Texas in the future to get him to leave Colorado. I think it would take somewhere in the state of Florida to get him to leave Colorado. I don't think he's just going to jump for the next spot because he's building something at Colorado that now has some momentum, now has some staying power, and he's got some people there on his roster that he really cares about. And I think he wants to see that through. So what's Coach Prime's next move? I don't know, but it's not happening for the next 1 to 2 years. He's not going anywhere this coaching carousel cycle. He is, like he said in his graphic, he is there in Boulder, Colorado, and he's not pivoting anytime soon. So we'll keep an eye on Coach Prime and what he's got going on. I expect him to once again just absolutely ravage the portal and proudly get himself some good linemen to go protect Shedeur Sanders, and expect Colorado to build upon what they did this past season.